Welcome to another episode of The Operator's Table. I'm Cris Morgado. Today we are joined by Pierre Bardinet, Technical Director and US Export Manager at Les Bienheureux, the French house behind Bellevoye, Whisky, and rums like El Pasador de Oro and Embargo. They've been helping redefine what French-made spirits can be, from triple malt whiskey to innovative rum blends, while expanding into markets across Europe and US. We will unpack Pierre's path into spirits, what's working inside Les Bienheureux today, and the systems behind growing premium brands in competitive categories. And also we'll be talking about the launch in the US. So Pierre, welcome. Where are you calling from today?
Thank you, Cris. I'm very happy to be with you today. I'm calling from New York City today.
Perfect. A little bit probably cooler than France?
Definitely cooler. We don't have snow that often in France, but I really like the New York weather.
That's awesome. So can you give us a brief snapshot of your role and what you focus on your day-to-day at Les Bienheureux? And then we'll dive right into the podcast.
Okay, perfect. So my role is super versatile. Our company, Les Bienheureux, creates, produces, and sells some spirits brand. And so my role today is about 1/3 of my time on the production side, where I take care of our production in our distillery in Costa Rica, in our rum distillery. And 2/3 of my time is dedicated to our clients, our customers, selling our brands across the US, across Americas, and also Africa.
Wow, that's amazing. And is it right to think that you are kind of starting to enter the market in US at the moment? So you'll be launching pretty soon, I suppose.
Yes, 2026 is going to be a major year for us. We'll be launching the first ever single estate rum from Costa Rica in the US. It's going to be very excited. We're launching nationally. And also it will be the first year when our leading French whiskey will enter the US market, trying to build this category, which has been a great success in France, in other export markets. And now we're targeting the largest market for premium spirits, which is the US. 2026 is going to be an exciting year.
Oh, well, it's going to be big for you guys. Awesome. I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so today the arc for the podcast will start how you got into the world of spirits and eventually into Les Bienheureux. Then we zoom out into trends, what you're seeing in whiskey and rum. After that, we'll dig in what's working versus what's causing friction inside the business. We talk a little bit about brand building, and then we will close with a quick lightning round and some goals for the next 12 months. So let's start with you. So what was the spark, the moment you thought, this is it, I'm going into the path of wine and spirits? Is that a relationship with the company that you have, or was this something you thought was an exciting industry to be in?
I think it was really linked to my family history and to where I grew up. In fact, on my father's side, they have been in the rum industry for many years. My great-great-great-great-great-grandfather founded a rum company in the middle of the 19th century in France. And on my mother's side, her family has been in the wine business for 200 years. I grew up in Saint-Émilion, tiny little village in France, where my mother was making wine. So I grew up in the middle of a vineyard. So I was born and raised with wine, if I can say, not drinking wine underage, of course, but born and raised following the vineyard season. And I always felt very attracted to the land, to the raw material, and to the production processes. And so that's why when I had to choose my studies, I decided to go in engineering school in agronomy, to study how to grow different crops and what to do with them. And I found out that the most exciting part was to turn ingredients into alcohol, and that's what I liked. So I did a first internship for Les Bienheureux in their distillery that they just bought in 2020 in Cognac region. And from that, I've been with Les Bienheureux, and the company has been growing a lot, and I've been bouncing from missions to missions, from project to project, and that's what led me to being in the US now.
See, that's interesting. So it was the internship that made you grow with the company. Cool. Now, for the people that don't quite speak French, what's the meaning of Les Bienheureux?
Les Bienheureux, that's a beautiful name in French. But everywhere else in the world, it's always a tough mission to explain Les Bienheureux. Les Bienheureux means happy people, fortunate people. The reason why we're named Les Bienheureux is because when my co-founder, Alexandre Siresh, decided to create this company with Jean Moix in 2014, they were in a restaurant and they had as a project for their dinner to find the name of the company. And they couldn't find the proper name for this spirits company. After, at the end, they were the last customers in the restaurant, and the waiter went to them saying, "Sorry, but we're going to close, you've got to leave." And they both asked, "Well, we had to find a name, we don't have it. What do we inspire you?" And the waitress said, "You look bienheureux," meaning you look happy, you look like
Content.
content, pretty much. And so they say, okay, we've got the name, it's going to be Les Bienheureux. So no, we're calling ourselves Les Bienheureux. So I'm Pierre Le Bienheureux d'Amérique, meaning like the happy guy from the US. And so Les Bienheureux, that's because we try to do things differently with this company. We try to have people that don't feel like they work when they are working because they have good fun, to have proper wage, to only have permanent contract. That's what lead us to being Les Bienheureux.
I see. So it just transcends the name. It actually goes into the culture of the company and the well-being and the welfare of the staff. That's very good. That's awesome.
Definitely. And also our clients, when we have a new partner, importer in a country, for example, we call him our Bienheureux of Spain, the Bienheureux of Germany. So we try to spread this Bienheureux energy all around our business with our suppliers and with our clients.
Very good. I was going to ask you before Le Bienheureux, what was a few stations along your journey that shaped the way you operate today. But I guess you started pretty much with Le Bienheureux. So it was
Yes.
University Bienheureux.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
I did 2 internships before that. I did one in a farm in France, growing crops and breeding animals. Was interesting, was from my agronomy school. And I did another internship in Napa Valley, in Sonoma Valley in California, in a family vineyard named Hafner Vineyard. Delicious wine, and it was my first experience in the US as an intern, and I really liked it. And from that point, I said, well, I want to go back to the US sometimes. So
That's very
that
good.
was my journey.
That's good. And so in total, how many years have you been with Le Bienheureux?
Since my very first internship, 5 years and a half.
5 years. Okay. Is
For a
there
10 years old company, that's quite a long time.
yeah, 50% of the time with the company. That's amazing. So, is there any early lessons you learned as an intern? Any tough lessons in particular that kind of helps you to make the decisions you make about the product, markets, or partners today that guides you how you operate?
Yes, there are many, many lessons. My first internship I did with them, we bought this distillery and we had to adapt the process to scale the distillery, to multiply by 10 our whiskey production capacities. And so it was very interesting because we had to reach higher qualities and higher volumes. Normally you either choose the volumes or the quality. We had to do both at the same time. So it was a fun challenge for our first experience. What I learned is that you always need to keep in mind when you're in consumer goods production that your final objective is to give the most pleasure to you, to the drinker, to the consumer. So our company has been very consumer driven, and right from my first day of internship, my manager at the time told me, never forget that everything you do has to improve the experience of the final consumer of our product. So that was my key guideline I had from my very first day in the company.
That's amazing. So, it's very consumer driven. It's about not just producing a product for a shelf, but it's actually giving a satisfaction to the drinker, the end consumer.
Yes, plus you've got to take away your personal taste. Well, luckily, I really appreciate the product I do, of course. Otherwise, I wouldn't be there. But some products are not definitely the kind of spirits I'll be drinking. I've got to think about the consumer. If the consumer we're targeting is a 60 years old guy for a whiskey, it might not be my taste, but I've got to make sure that what we do is in this style. So
for sure.
That's interesting.
Yeah, very good. Do you do like tasting sessions with your consumers?
Yes. So One of the key pillars of our company is the blind tasting. Our competitors are huge companies, huge publicly traded groups, French, Italian, American, Scottish, of course. We don't have the same marketing budget that they have. We don't have 200 years of being in the market. So where we can make the difference is with the taste and in blind tasting. So before we launch a new product, we'll always be taking our two direct competitors and having a blind tasting in black glasses to make sure you are not like impacted by the color of the liquid. And we'll be having a tasting committee of 7 persons tasting those 3 glasses. And as long as the tasting committee is not 100% preferring our product in blind tasting, we're not launching. So that leads us to a lot of investment in research and development, a lot of time. Sometimes we've got to wait 1 year, 2 years before launching a product. But with this, we're sure that when we'll be launching a product on the market, we're better than the competitors. So our clients and consumer can entrust us with the quality we deliver for the price.
Fantastic. That's great. That's great. Now, shifting a little bit in terms of the industry and the trends you're seeing, I guess from your point of view within a fast-growing French house, what are the biggest shifts you're seeing right now in whiskey and rum? Is it like premium? Is it like consumers drinking less but choosing better quality? Is there a curiosity for the origin stories like French whiskey or Guatemalan cask journeys? What are the trends and directions you're seeing within those verticals, whiskey and rum?
There are many trends. There have been a big change during the COVID because people were not traveling as much as they used to do. So they were spending more money on their alcohol at home. So they've been drinking more and better products. So there was this big wave of premiumization at the time. Now, a few years yet later, this premiumization trend is turning into de-premiumisation. In fact, cost of living is becoming more and more expensive because of the wars and all the global political situations. So people really want to stick with quality. They are becoming more and more picky with quality price ratio. That's a trend we see. So that's why we always focus on the tasting, and having our consumer tasting our product is very important for us. On more product trends, it's interesting to compare. Scotch whiskey is still the big leader in the whiskey industry, but we've seen a lot of world whiskies developing those last year. Well, of course, American whiskey is a big category. It's 50% of what's being drinking here in the US, but there is Japanese whiskey now, which is a big category. There is Taiwanese whiskey. We've seen whiskey out of India, out of Australia, New Zealand, everywhere in Europe as well. We see Danish whiskey, German whiskey, Italian whiskey, and of course, French whiskey. So I think there is room now for new origins, new whiskey that always bring, as long as you bring something new to the category. That's what we did in French whiskey, because it was a quest of freedom to do whiskey in the wine country. That was a big bet from the co-founders of the company. And so the trend we see is whiskey coming from different countries with plenty different technical innovations, either coming from the raw materials, using different cereals, coming from the fermentation, the distillation process, the aging process. We've been working with patented cask that we've developed for our whiskey. Finishing barrels. Also in terms of design, we'll see all kind of new bottles on the market. So I think there is a lot of, like, a big craft innovation on the market. Many new craft products coming. Some of them are good. Some of them are not as good as what the founders might think. But I think that's a big trend. Is like there used to be, if you were a whiskey drinker, you were drinking Johnny Walker. Now you can have access to so many whiskeys that it's cool. Plus with AI and internet, you have access to so much information about the whiskey. So that's also a key trend we see. And on the rum side, rum used to be a quite cloudy category, if I can say. It was always cloudy on the origin because some rums call themselves Jamaican rum, whether they are made with molasses coming from Africa, India, or Brazil. Some other rums call themselves from Trinidad and Tobago, but the raw material doesn't come from the origin. That's where we went with an input, thinking that the traceability was going to become a key aspect in the rum industry. And that's why we decided to develop our distillery in Costa Rica, where all the sugarcane used for our rum is produced in the same family estate. So we do single estate rum. So we can really prove where the raw materials come from, and we bring traceability in the rum category. And this is probably what drives our success with the rum category. It's the traceability. I think is going to become more and more central. And one interesting trend with rum as well is that most brown spirits have become super expensive. Whiskey has become expensive. Cognac is expensive. Tequila, aged tequila is now expensive or even crazy expensive sometimes here in the US. Whether in rum, you get access to a brown spirit, but yet with an accessible price. So I think rum has, in the current market situation, rum is going to be a growing category because you can deliver an aged spirit for a better price than most other spirits.
Yeah, I understand. I guess you mentioned premiumization, but I think provenance and understanding where the product comes from is super important as well. And I guess having Costa Rica and a single estate production makes a difference to the quality of your product. That's awesome. Now, I guess Les Bienheureux has the mix of French identity and international sourcing. So, for example, French company sourcing from Costa Rica, for example. So how are trade buyers and consumers responding to this hybrid story? Do you think that it's being well received?
On most markets, it's being well received because we benefit from what France has been doing for the past centuries of producing high quality products. Champagne has been an incredible product sold all around the world as an exclusive, like the most exclusive wine. French wine as well, French cognac with super high quality spirits, French vodka later on with brands such as Grey Goose, for instance. So, and also all the French luxury, either being the fashion, the fragrances, all this luxury French industry is helping France to shine across the world on the market. We have this, like being French, we have a lot of pressure on our shoulder to make sure we deliver high quality, because when someone buys something French, they will expect high quality. But on the other side, it's opening doors for us, because when we bring a whiskey from France to an international market, we at least have, like, our importers find high expectations of quality into our product before we start talking about it, because we're French. So that's been helpful. And on our hybrid side, working with Costa Rica, for example, supplying our rum from our distillery over there, I think we can bring the best of the two worlds. Our rum in Costa Rica, we get the best sugarcane terroir. We get very good distillation quality over there, very nice aging conditions for the rum. And then we bring it to France, where we have those beautiful bottles that are produced in France that we use for our rum. And we use also a lot of luxury packaging aspects for our rums in France. So I think we try to bring together the good thing of Costa Rica with the good thing of France, and always taking there is this mathematical equation we like in when it comes to blending, which is 1 + 1 = 3. That's what we try to do. So I think bringing something from another country with the French input leads us to this 1 + 1 = 3.
I understand, like this synergy, yeah. So in terms of trends, we spoke about a few trends, but do you think there are trends running around in the market at the moment that are a bit like overhyped, that maybe people talk on panels when there are like conferences, but it doesn't really move cases in the real world? Do you think there's like a bit of a hype in trends?
Yes, well, the first one I've seen was the tequila rise. We saw that I was based in France at the time. That was from 2021. We started to hear a lot about tequila. And it's true that have had a huge success with double-digit growth over the past years in the US. Um, the tequila category is good. There are so many good products in terms of tequila, and it has been booming. So in the US, I'm impressed by the size of the tequila category. In France, it's getting started, but it's not yet a big category. But that was a big trend, the tequila trend. Another trend was the ready-to-drinks, having like sort of premixed cocktail. There is definitely something happening here in the US mainly, but also it's arriving in Europe and on other markets. It's interesting. It leads to other moments of consumption. It's easier for you, if you want to go on a barbecue, to have a ready-to-drink cocktail in your ice cooler than bringing all the different ingredients, especially that those ready-to-drink cocktails are sometimes very good. And a last trend I hear a lot about, and I've been changing my mind on it. It's the no alcohol category. We hear that no alcohol is growing super fast. When you really look at the data, it's still quite small. In the beer category, it has reached a significant size, but in terms of spirits, it's still very small. but we wanted to dive into this subject of low alcohol, no alcohol. So we've been working a lot in research and development, and we'll be launching exciting products in the future, because I think there is definitely a consumer need, not necessarily for no alcohol, but for low alcohol. I really like gin tonic as a cocktail, but on an evening, like a Wednesday evening, I'll be happy to have the taste of a gin tonic, but using a 20 ABV gin instead of a 40 ABV, for example. So I think the low alcohol and the no alcohol is going to be growing in the future, but it's still very small category compared to the global spirits category.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for sharing. That's quite insightful. Now, in terms of the back office, I'm not sure how close you are in terms of processes and systems and so forth. But if I were to give you a magic wand, and if you could change one thing about how the back office operates, what would you change or implement?
Well, our back office is very efficient. They do a good job. The sales team are asking a lot to them, and they always deliver. So we're being very lucky to have such a team. But I think the AI is going to be a major driver in the back office evolution. We're trying to put AI as much as we can into our operations, but it's becoming so impressive and so useful for the business that I think that your magic wand could be used to input more and more AI in our company, leading to better reactivity, because that's what makes us strong compared to our huge competitors, is that they are too big to act fast. Whether we are small, we can be, you ask us, or I think this kind of product is going to work on this market. Boom, in 2 or 3 months, we can deliver a product. We can have a prototype ready, whether the huge companies, they will take sometimes a year, 2 years to get everything approved. So I think the AI will increase our reactivity for the back
That's
office.
interesting. And do you know where in particular you see that level?
I think in the creation side, definitely, like on the designs, well, the emotion you see when you get to grab a bottle is always the key, the most important thing. But so the human input is very important, but I think AI can help you to reach the prototype of the product you want very quickly. And also in terms of back office, I think AI kind of could like automatize many tasks, such as preparing the invoices, preparing all kind of documents we need to ship regarding the alcohol legislation as well. So yeah, I think it's all these administrative tasks that are sometimes seen as a burden because they are very repetitive. I think AI is gonna bring a new. Yeah, sure.
Now, I guess in terms of what's working really well for Les Bienheureux, what do you think is actually quite smooth and ticking along really nicely?
Nothing has been growing by itself. It was always a lot of push to get the thing started. As an example, when we started our French whiskey in 2014, end of 2014, beginning of 2015, when my founder at the time went to see the wine retailers, wine and liquor retailers in France, saying, "Look, this is the French whiskey." Like, the retailers will be saying, "What do you mean French whiskey? It does not exist. We don't, whiskey is Scotch, that's it." And now, 10 years later, after a lot of push, and quality behind the product, we're present in 90% of the wine and spirits retailers in France. So this has been like a huge evolution, and most French whiskey drinkers now are aware that there are some good quality French whiskey, and they drink French whiskey, so that's nice. Something that has been growing well for us as well is the rum. The rum category, um, it's a beautiful category. It's my favorite product, the rum. I'm definitely obsessed with rum. I really like it in terms of taste, in terms of production. There is so much to explore. And in the rum category, I think we took a nice aromatic positioning of not trying to reach what geeks will consider as highest quality, because geeks, they represent sometimes 50% of what you see on the blogs, but just 1% of consumers, consumer spends. So we've been trying to bring something that comes from the wine. In the wine industry, the mouthfeel is super important. So we've been working in our rum and in our whiskey as well in bringing a very good mouthfeel, a lot of suavity, unctuosity. That's what we've done with our rum. And I think that's what led our consumer not only to taste our rum, but also to drink our rum, to finish the bottle and to buy a new one. and on, leading us to very good sales of rum.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. So when you think of rum and the other kind of suite of kind of products you sell, and you think of international growth, like into US, for example, and beyond, what's the main constraint you feel in terms of expanding? Is it capacity? Is it distribution focus? Is it marketing budget? People? What do you think is the kind of strangling the expansion faster?
So our priority was to make sure we didn't get into niches. So that's why whiskey and rum, our two core products, are on big categories. We didn't want it to be the leading Pierre eau de vie from southwest of France, because even though you can have a beautiful niche, it will still be a niche. So that's why we chose the whiskey and the rum category. In terms of capabilities, for our rum, we decided to partner with a family having a huge farm in Costa Rica. And I did the quick calculation to see if we converted all that sugarcane into rum, that would be 57 million bottles. So I think that's a lot of people enjoying our rum, 57 million bottles a year. So that's definitely not the constraint. The main constraint is the competition. There is a lot of competition in the spirits industry. So you've got to come with a super sharp market positioning. You've got to know your competition. You've got to know what's better with your product, and you've got to make sure that you explain it right to your importer, so you explain it right to his distributor, so you explain it right to their sales team, and then to the retailer, and the retailer to the consumer. So it's a very long chain of information, and you lose all the information across the chain. So you've got to make sure you've got some super impactful messages, and that's why saying we are the only and the leading single estate rum from Costa Rica. That was our sharp positioning, and we're sure that a consumer can understand what that means.
Understand. So when it comes to the marketing message and the volume of content, do you have like a particular systematic way to produce that content?
No, we will definitely adapt to the market. French market is super traditional, so we'll be printing some advertising into key magazines. We always make sure that the people reading those magazines are good prospects to buy our products, of course, but that's the traditional way we do. But on some market, I'm thinking of Cameroon, for example, where we have a good development. We've been partnering with some stars over there, local stars related to the football industry, for example, and that's a very good way to communicate. So we're really adapting to the markets in Cambodia. We're more on the lifestyle sort of positioning. I think in Japan we're more onto bringing a new whiskey in the whiskey landscape with the French relation, of course. And I think social networks is also going to be impactful in our future development. We're now really focusing on AI and social networks development, because I think that's where we'll target our future consumers. It's thanks to AI, because I'm sure in 5 years from now, people will be asking to their ChatGPT or whatever AI, find me 4 whiskeys for $60 each. And so that's why you want to make sure that AI find the best whiskey, and that the best whiskey is our whiskey from Les Bienheureux, of course, for that future.
Okay.
That's the marketing as we see it.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. And when you mean social networks, is there any particular networks you're thinking of going? Are you present at the moment?
We're present on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We are not as good as we should do, definitely not. So we've got a lot of improvement to do. Myself as a consumer as well, and as a spirits buyer, because I like to buy different bottles for my. I have a lot of advertising on Instagram of different brands, and then when I will be walking into a retail store, I will say, "Oh, isn't that the tequila I saw on Instagram? Maybe I should buy a bottle." So I think that's where we have a lot to do in terms of social networks. Also, marketplaces like Amazon, I think, are key. In France, we are very good on Amazon. We are very often the best-selling whiskey in Amazon France, best-selling rum as well, best-selling gin. And so that's another way to reach new consumers as well. And
I
I
understand.
don't know if you included that into social networks, but in some way it is a social network, Amazon, well,
It's an
marketplace.
e-commerce channel for sure. And did you say Facebook and LinkedIn as well? Did you?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Now, I guess coming back to workflows that you might be familiar with? If you had to be ruthless and pick one workflow you'd love to automate for the next quarter, what would you automate that is not currently automated? Is it sales reporting? Is it trade marketing like we've just spoke? Maybe automating LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram? Is it demand planning? If you think of one workflow existing that you like to automate, what would you do if it was within your control?
That's a tough question because as I'm working both on the production and on the sales side, I'm fighting into my head which side should I choose. I guess it's more, yeah, definitely on the data analysis. I think we collect a lot of data today thanks to our CRM, but we would really like to have more automation. The input of the salesperson at the very end to, because what you see of the digits of the data, but there's also the interpretation. I think the interpretation should be made by a human being, but all the preparation before that could be automated. I would really like to have every day a quick notification saying what the sales are, what the point I should look at that are key, the clients that I should follow further, what should I do for in terms of follow-up, and having all those suggestions of action saying, oh, you should do a 5% price reduction with this product on this market. This could lead to plus 5% of volumes for the next 4 weeks. Those kind of data will be super helpful.
Interesting. Out of interest, what CRM do you use?
We use a personal, like a custom built CRM named Accelor, which is a French developed Accelor. And it has been very well adapted to our business specificities in terms of a third party we use for logistics, for bottling, and all of that.
Understand. And in terms of data points, you mentioned things like notifications, KPIs, client follow-ups. Do you have a custom built dashboard, or that would be a nice add-on if you could have?
We have a Power BI base, very helpful. And otherwise, we use a lot of Excel, as most of our competitors still. Excel sheets, it's a few hours of our day, I guess. So yeah, that's what we use.
So you think it might be beneficial if you could to have like a dashboard bespoke with those data points that you could extract that information from the CRM and the spreadsheets?
Yeah, definitely. We already have that, but it's not as precise and as easy to find information as we liked onto it.
I
It would be
understand.
so nice to see why do I have minus 5% on that market, on that brand this year? And they will be directly able to compare with the past 4 years data, all of that.
I understand. That's good to know. That's awesome. Now, when you look at your best performing markets, what are the common patterns that you see? Is it about finding the right importer, have a strong on-premise anchor, investing in education, a specific type of partner? Is that a particular trend you see in your most successful partners? Performing markets.
Yeah, so our most performing market is the French market because that's where we auto-distribute our brand. So the job we'll ask importers to do everywhere else, we do it ourselves in France. So we have to give a good example of what to do to push the brands. In France, it's because of our historical presence. We've been there for 10 years. We've been launching successful products. So when we come with a new product, we have the trust of the trade. They say, okay, we'll give a chance to your new product. So that's way easier when you're already established on the market than when you start from scratch. On the export side, we've got many different successful markets, and I think there is not really a recipe of how to build a successful export market. I think where we have the most success is when we have good partners, importer, that share the same value and overall that can adapt our brands and our brand strength to the consumer expectations on their market. Because we know our brand very well, but we don't know the markets. For example, if I were to launch our whiskey in Brazil, I don't know much about what the Brazilian consumer key markers are. So if I have a partner in Brazil that know precisely what the consumer is like and understand the strength of our brand, he has all the ingredients to build a success, I think.
Yeah, that's very important. And do you have like a systemized way to attract the right partners?
Some of them come to us. We've been the winner of the tender for Air France, business and first class for the past years. Some of our importers were flying Air France. They discovered our whiskey on board And they said, well, that's a beautiful brand. I think I should bring it to my country. And we've built a nice relationship with this beginning. So that was a good way for us to find importers, was to be, if you are in the good palace in Paris, in the good, very beautiful and famous wine and liquor stores in the Paris area, when the importers will be coming to visit their champagne supplier, their cognac supplier, their wine supplier, they will visit your accounts in Paris. And if they see your brand and if they see that there's something happening with your brand, they'll be interested to bring it in their country. Although we're always looking for people that share the same values. So we know some brands that are on non-competitive categories. We don't have a cognac, for example. We know cognac brands that share our values. And so when we are in touch with a partner in a country and we see that he's the exclusive importer for those cognac brands, we know what it means. We know that it means that they have a long-lasting relationship and that they do a good job. And that's something that drives our interest as well.
Understand. Now, something that came to mind that made me think when you mentioned about spreadsheets and data and continuity of data and extrapolating data. Are you actually tracking things like how long it takes in your listing to go from first order to steady repeat orders?
Yeah, we track that. We know the frequency of orders we get from our clients, and we'll have a warning whenever they are not respecting the frequency. But it's also our job as salesperson to know our importers, to be in touch with them, to call them often, and to be aware of what's happening, what's the inventory like, when will be the next shipment, how much we're going to sell, how we're going to activate the market. We're still in a very social sort of business because we work with people, because we share good moments, we shake hands, we agree on things, on values. So data is important, but I think the client relationship is still very key in our spirits industry.
It's a human industry for sure. But in terms of that tracking, is that done mainly via the CRM and spreadsheets?
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah, I understand. And in terms of establishing a database of your main stakeholders, do you have like a particular email platform that you use, and do you use email quite frequently?
We do some newsletters sometimes, but not that much. The thing is that we sell to clients, then sell to clients, then sell to the consumer. So our direct clients are importers or distributors. So they are the one we need to target. We try to do custom-made operations on some market at some times of the year with them, but we don't reach the consumer directly.
No.
Otherwise, we could collect so much data and better understand who is drinking our product, because I know some people drinking our product because they tell me they drink it and they like it, but I couldn't describe you that out of our whiskey drinkers, it's 60% men, 40% women in the 45, 55 years old range. I haven't got many clues on that, and that would be super interesting to have.
Now, moving a little bit more into the future, and I guess for you, particularly responsible for the US and the Americas, what headline would you like to see in 12 months celebrating a win for Les Bienheureux? What would you like to see as a headline?
I think we've got a lot of challenges to achieve. So it's going to be a very challenging year, 2026, but we would like to celebrate at the end of next year. Regarding my area, especially the US, I think it's the successful launch of our single estate rum from Costa Rica named Nicoya across the US. We're going to start nationwide from next March. So I'm going to be very involved into that, into reaching out to the consumer next year. So at the end of the year, we'll be looking at what we've done, what we've built, and I think hopefully it will be a good achievement. Also starting to create something on the French whiskey in the US. So far, French whiskey is almost unknown in the US, and as leaders in France and everywhere, and almost everywhere where there is French whiskey across the world, we're the leaders. So we've got to do the same thing in the US. It doesn't matter for me how big. I don't want to reach huge amounts from the beginning. I know it's not possible, but at least making sure that whiskey amateurs across the US know that French whiskey exists and can get a chance to taste our French whiskey Bellevoye. That's another key headline for 2026. I think those will be the two headlines.
That's awesome. Okay, we coming to the end because I'm respectful of your time and I don't want to take a lot of your time. And you've been very generous so far. So I want to start winding down a little bit more towards you a little bit more, because I guess this job is quite demanding and it keeps you very busy. I'm interested from an operator at your standard, what keeps you grounded and energized? Do you have any special routines or any
Many
special?
things keep me grounded. The team first, because I have incredible teammates. Most of them are in France. I'm alone in the US, but I'll be in touch with them every day. And we share the same project of building. We don't want to build the biggest spirits company in the world, but we definitely want to be the company that have the more fun, where people already commit into a beautiful project of respecting the nature in what we do, doing good products and bringing happiness to people when they drink our products. And also, a new thing, I used to be commuting in France in car for about an hour and a half a day in the traffic. And now I'm commuting on a bike in New York. Every morning I take a half an hour a bike ride along the Hudson River. And every evening I'll be taking a half an hour bike ride. And when you're pedaling on a bike, you're also pedaling in your mind. And I think that's a good thing to keep me excited about what's happening and to try to have always step back, take a look at what we're doing and try to come with new ideas.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Now, in terms of closing for our audience, because we've got people that are leaders, we've got people that are trying to start a career in food and beverage, we've got people interested in starting an entrepreneurial journey. So I'll be interested. Do you have any particular book that you recommend? Not necessarily in business, anything that mindset or anything that you think can improve someone's outlook in life, for example, could be philosophy, whatever you like.
I've got one book I'm reading currently. It's a tough one. I've been working on it for a few months now on Napoleon. It's a 1,400 pages book, so long story, but explaining all Napoleon's life. He's been a huge figure in the French history, and it's written by Max Gallo, who did a very good job at writing this book. I think it's a very beautiful description of Napoleon's life, and I think Napoleon's commitment to justice, to work, to relationships as well, human relationships, leadership. There is a lot to learn from Napoleon, especially when you like to conquer a new market. And so I think you can sort of adapt these leadership ideas he had and turn them into markets, sort of like market guidelines for your
Wow,
day to day.
fascinating. Very good. That's awesome. I might have a look at that when I've got some time, because it looks like a big commitment.
It is.
Um, and in terms of your wisdom for the last 5 years, right, within this industry, is there any particular golden nugget you like to share with someone in the spirits world today? It's a tough one.
Yeah, well, there are many. I think one of them will be never forget the consumer, always keep the consumer in mind, because that's what I've been taught, and that's so true. But on the other side, never forget your values and stick to them, because sometimes in the corporate world, you can be tempted or attracted to do things that are a bit far from the ethic. Staying yourself. Don't try to become even more a copy of or a clone of your coworkers. Like, stick with yourself. I think that's something important.
So authenticity, being
Yeah,
authentic, and integrity.
definitely. And also, last one, I think, is like in our company, we say there it's forbidden to say it's you're forced to say I don't know when you don't know. You're forced to say I was wrong when you were wrong, and you're forced to say I cannot do that if something you don't know how to do. And we're forced to do that, and I think that's avoid us a lot of issues and a lot of errors. And I think that accepting that everyone can do errors is key as well. And so, like, everyone can say sometimes some dumb things, can have ideas thinking they are brilliant and they aren't. But, like, keep trying. I think that's where it comes.
Yeah, for sure. I guess it's a little bit like keeping the ego in check, and I guess give the permission to fail and
Yes,
admit.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. And
But don't
lastly,
fail too often. Don't fail
no,
too often.
for sure. And then lastly, interesting. What keeps you passionate? Well, what's your big why? What drives you?
I'm extremely lucky to work in a super exciting industry, the spirits industry, because we bring every day to people's table fun. When you People buy a bottle of whiskey. It's to share with friends. It's to share with family. It's gathering moments. And I think I'm not saving life every day. I'm not a doctor, but when I wake up and sometimes when I'll be thinking, "Oh, I've been working all day long on Excel or on this thing," or when you're failing with a prospect, you're like, well, at the end of the day, what I'm doing is trying to bring good products to good people. And that's really what drives me. And especially when you get the chance to do that with such a great team that call themselves Les Bienheureux and try to have good fun along the way.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, for our audience that they want to know more about the brand and your mission and anything about you, even, where can they find you online? Is there anything you like to share, like socials, websites, resources?
Yeah, definitely. So our LinkedIn is named Les Bienheureux, Bienheureux. You should follow us on LinkedIn. That's where we drop the big news. And you will also find me on LinkedIn. And I like to post on what our company does, but also on other subjects across the spirits category. So I think LinkedIn will be the best network to be in touch. And if they have questions and they want to learn more about our brands, what we do, please reach out and I'll be very happy to chat with them.
Perfect. Pierre, this has been fantastic. Thanks for pulling a chair at the operator's table and from pulling back the curtain on Les Bienheureux. If you enjoyed this episode with Pierre from Les Bienheureux, please subscribe, share it with another operator who loves good spirits and good systems, and we'll see you on the next one.